SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Engineering, Medical and Health Sciences, Management, Dental, Science and Humanities, Law, Agriculture Sciences, Hotel Management. Admissions open.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Hindu Education Plus and SRM Career Counseling webinar. And this time we'll be focusing on the challenges of NEET counseling during a pandemic. So I just would like to give you a brief introduction. We've been doing several fruitful webinars with SRM, and I think this is going to be one of our keystone marquee events. This week we had the storm that put the fear of God into us, and but the cyclone Niver is past, and it's a bright and sunny day today. But before the storm, the thing that was on the lips of everyone in Tamil Nadu was indeed NEET. The big buzz was NEET. And today, that is what we were going to talk about. The bigger buzz is, of course, the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic. And we are looking today at the issues that twin coronavirus pandemic and NEET counseling. We know about the long battle that Tamil Nadu has had with the Center on Introduction of NEET. The state ran a really long battle, including at the courts, in order that NEET not be conducted for medical admissions. However, when it became inevitable, the state went on to conduct examinations like the rest of the country with a view to governing medical entrance with a certain degree of quality and standard. This is not the first year that students from Tamil Nadu have written NEET. But this was indeed the first year that they were writing it during a pandemic, and the first time that 7.5% quota for government school students was introduced. But you will hear more about this from our panelists today. Today, our first speaker is going to be Professor Lieutenant Colonel Arunachalam Ravikumar. He is currently the Pro Vice Chancellor, Medical and Health Sciences, SRM Institute of Science and Technology. He has held other eminent positions in various medical institutes earlier. He has really several awards to his credit, and listing them now would sort of eat into the precious time that the speakers have. But he has vast experience and expertise, both in his chosen field of medicine and as well as in administration and academia. His current focus is on cochlear implantation, though it has been since 2006, noise protection devices, medical education, and conducting hearing awareness camps in the districts of Tamil Nadu for children with hearing impairment. Today, along with him, you will also have his colleague, Dr. Satyajit Mohapatra and Dr. Mohan Raj, whom I will be introducing later. Dr. Ravikumar, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Ms. Ramya, for introducing me. My compliments and greetings to all participants of this webinar. Now, this webinar has been organized thanks to the Hindu, their expertise in these fields. And the focus today is on NEET, and the parts which I would be covering in my brief introduction would be about the evolution of NEET, why it came into being, and what is the impact of it so far towards medical education, and what happened in the last 10 months or so since the pandemic has broken out and how we are coping with it. And my colleague will be covering about the counseling process. Now I request that my slide be shared. Okay, can you see my slide?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. Now, as it is, NEET is quite a stressful experience for many school outgoing student and the parents together. And why was NEET in the first place introduced? It was in the offing since 2012-13 because so many types of quotas were there for medical admission, differing across various states. There was no uniform policy. And then there was also a lot of court cases about various malpractices concerning medical selection and dental selection. By the way, NEET is for MBBS as well as for BDS, which is Bachelor of Dental Sciences. And due to the court cases, the Supreme Court actually, way back in 2013 itself, had ruled that there should be some form of common entrance test, like we used to have for the IIT, engineering testing, all that. So each state had its own central entrance test. Then it became under the national level. The CBSE was given the task of doing a common entrance test for MBBS and BDS. Somehow, all of them were not as perfect as they should be, and there were always complaints and court cases. In fact, once, I think it was 2015, when the entire process was repeated again because they were not happy with they were not able to establish the transparency and the selection process in the first examination. So with all this happening, in the year 2016, two important decisions were made and implemented by the government of India. The first was the establishment of the National Eligibility Entrance Test for selection for medical and dental courses. And the second one was the establishment of what is known as the National Institution Ranking Framework, which was to rank the various medical institutions and dental institutions in the country. These two legislations which came through, and they really tried to unify all the selection process of the various states in the whole country and bring it under one umbrella. And it was a very complex process and it involved a lot of discussions, and there was a lot of opposition. As Ramya was pointing out, there was a lot of opposition by many states, including Tamil Nadu, that it is not going to be socially relevant and the people who are from the economically challenged and the local government students will be having problems in getting selected. Despite all that, they went through with it. Now, what does it cost? Now, I will be speaking mostly from the experience I have gained in 2 or 3 institutions I have worked in, that is Armed Forces Medical College, in Ramachandra, and then now in SRM. And this is the campus we have in SRM where the medical health sciences are located. Now, the National Medical Commission Act itself, which is the other development which happened as recent as 2019, where the Medical Council of India, which initially used to be responsible for the selection and running of medical colleges, was replaced by the National Medical Commission, also had a role to play. And in 2019, in the month of August, the National Medical Commission was established and it ratified the Common Uniform National Eligibility Entrance Test for admission to the undergraduate medical college institutions as well as those governed under the MBBS course. The important difference is this: they brought in the advent of the NEET institutions such as All India Institute of Medical Sciences, JIPMER, all central institutions. Earlier on, it was not like that. So this was another landmark event which happened just a year ago. So the election in 2020 is based on this act. And the task of conducting this NEET examination was given to an expert group in the National Testing Agency, what we call the NTA. And it had a very powerful body of governing body, headed by Dr. M.S. Anand, the former director of IIT Madras. And they were given the task, and they, in association with an American agency which conducts the exam in that country, they designed the exam and conduct of the exam across the country. Initially, it was in English, and now they added about 8 or 9 vernacular languages also. The 3-hour paper on a specified date across the country. And kudos to them that in spite of the pandemic at its peak during the month of May, they conducted the exam all across the country successfully. And we have various yardsticks by which to measure how good this exam was. And one of them is how it is common to most of the categories, in spite of which there are some reservations, of which I'll come to certain aspects of the reservations. Number one assumption is that everybody has to go through NEET for selection. Whether you are a resident of India or a non-resident of India, doesn't matter. Secondly, after you get your NEET result, we are classifying you according to some reservation policies of the Government of India, which is listed in this slide. So they try to find out whether the quality has been maintained. And here you see the quality in the 50th percentile is the one which is minimum qualifying for the UR is the regular unreserved category. And then you come down to the OBCs, etc. It's in the 40th percentile, which means we are taking students who are having a certain qualifying mark. Only those who are qualifying in this will be allowed to take part in the counseling process. So some amount of uniformity has been achieved. Also, evidence that this NEET is preferred by many people is this. The aspirants for MBBS, I have just taken this example. Since 2016, when NEET was introduced, at that point, there was 80,000 aspirants for about 8 lakhs, 2,594 aspirants for 53,000 seats. Whereas it climbed up to 11, 13, 15, and now 15 lakhs, 97,000 students have taken the exam this year. And the number of seats available to them for admission is 78,000. Now, there has been a rise in the number of availability of seats also, thanks to the introduction of many All India Institute of Medical Sciences like institutions in various state capitals. Tamil Nadu will hopefully get one in Madurai soon. And encouraging state governments to get medical colleges opened in district level also. As you know, Tamil Nadu has taken the lead in this, and many district level hospitals are being converted into medical colleges. So to match the increased demand, there has been increasing number of seats also, but there's a big gap. The ratio is still wide. So we have a situation where people are aspiring to be doctors and they have a common entrance examination, NEET, which is by far the most transparent and the one which equalizes all the category of students across the country. And that is reflected by the increasing number of students who are taking part in the examination. And the government on its side is trying to match the demand with increasing the supply also. So what happens when you pass the NEET? The seats are again divided into a portion which goes to the Director General Health Services, who appoints the MCC. MCC is Medical Counselling Committee. And they counsel for 15% of the quota. It's called the All India quota. 15% of seats in the All India quota. What it is, I'll let you know. 100% of all deemed universities. There is no more direct admission to any of the deemed universities for MBBS or BDS. It has to go through the NEET and to the DGHS. And through the DGHS, it goes to the Medical Counselling Committee. And then the ESI and various other, including All India Institute of Medical Sciences and JIPMER. The role of the Medical Counselling Committee is limited to allotment of seats to the participating candidates as per their merit and choice. So they match their merit list with the choice available, and then they would be like to see that they get the best what is eligible for them. And the National Testing Agency is also the examination conducting body. They release the results. It is all done online. They've reduced the number of interactions with persons so that it can be done. Although it's very nice, but there is a problem which I think I should mention here. There is always what we call as the digital divide. So there are many people in this country who may not be as computer literate or as good in using the net as we want them to be. So there is a little problem there, which we have to acknowledge, and that has to be made up. So that is one drawback, but then that can be overcome easily over a period of time. So as I told you, to get into the counseling in the All India quota, the candidate should have qualified NEET, and it is not dependent on where you're domiciling. You can be from any part of the country and you can take part in the All India quota, which is 15% of the seats. And there are 2 rounds of counseling in this. And in the 15%, you cover all the universities in the country except J&K. Everything else is open. Similarly, in dentistry also, everything is open except 1 or 2. The reservation policy of the central government is also applicable to this 15%. In that 15%, you have reservation for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, non-creamy layer, OBC, and the economically weaker sections. So these are all given in the document. It's an excellent document. One should go through that. What happens in the NRI category? They would be also asked to undergo the NEET examination, but their list is separate. They are also eligible for taking part in the management seats of Dean University and the 15% All India quota seats. They have a little advantage there. Now, in addition to this, recently, the Tamil Nadu government has introduced an executive order for reservation in Tamil Nadu, only the state. Because as I told you, 85% of the seats are released to the states. 15% is All India quota. 85% goes to the states. In that 85%, Tamil Nadu government has introduced an order saying that 7.5% of that 85% seats released to Tamil Nadu state will be governed by the government quota. That is, those students who have passed out from government schools will be considered separately for admission to this the government quota, which is earmarked. So they are expecting about 405 students this year. This is introduced only for this year. That's 313 MBBS and 92 BDS students to benefit. What does it mean? There is a general pool where you have a lot of students who are applying for this selection. In that, those who are from government schools and who are domiciled in Tamil Nadu would be eligible for getting this special reservation of 7.5%. But this is only for the government quota, not for the deemed universities. Ours happens to be a deemed university. Now, in this, we also have the horizontal reservation of other groups such as scheduled caste, tribes, etc. So what is the gist of this whole thing? The advantage of this is going to be that it gives an easier selection to the government students who have come out from government schools. Their competition level will be less than the open quota. Secondly, there is a likelihood, this is just an apprehension, it may not be true, because already I have shared with you that there is a percentile which is pretty okay, 50 to 40 to 50%. But there could be some of the students who are coming in through this quota may not be up to the mark in comparison with their peers who are taking it through the general quota. We also have other problems which I thought I'll just mention in passing. There are many instances and cases of malpractice which used to be there in the past, which is even now, sometimes it happens. But it all depends on the way the counseling is done. In this respect, I will request my colleague to talk about it in detail. But in our institution, we are verifying physically all the certificates in 3 steps. And then we are checking it with the website of the particular state board also. Many times we are having problems with community certificate. But then we do a thorough checkup because there are cases of impersonation. Just a couple of years back, there was some accusation that a document was not verified properly and different person came and got admitted. So all this should be done properly by the institution. And now coming to the problems of the pandemic. Now, when we think of the pandemic, we are thinking of this illness which has caused a lot of stress in everybody's life, including the maximum affected being the students who are doing the class 12 and their parents, because they're already stressed and this pandemic has caused an additional stress. So we are taking all the precautions in our institutions, scanning, thermal scanning, mask wearing, and also our social distancing. And to address their psychological pressures, we have also developed a mental health application for those students who might join our institution, where they can access a psychiatrist or a psychologist around the clock through their mobile phones. The pandemic has affected the psychological well-being of the person. Secondly, to a certain extent, it has affected their learning process because they could not attend physical classes toward the end. Online classes were a substitute, but many of them who did not have access to a smartphone or an internet connection at home, they might have had problems. And the coaching classes which are held probably also had to do it online. That was the impact which it had. But surprisingly, this year, the selection marks of NEET were actually more. For the first time, a candidate had scored full 720 out of 720, which was not there, which was not heard of before. And generally, 50th percentile is what is the qualifying mark. Most of them were in the range between 60 to 70 or 80%. So this is the human reaction when you're under stress. They have overcome it to a large extent, but more of it would be talked about by my other colleague, who is a psychiatrist. So at this, I finish my initial presentation. Thank you very much for a patient hearing, and I would welcome questions during the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi Kumar. I think that has given us a really, really strong basis on which we can operate this webinar. Our next speaker for the day will be a colleague of Dr. Ravi Kumar, as I already said, Dr. Satyajit Mohapatra, who is currently working as a professor of pharmacology in SRM Medical College. He passed his MBBS and MD in pharmacology from Berhampur in Odisha. Currently, he is pursuing his PhD in pharmacology in the same institute in SRM, and he has 16 years of rich clinical experience and 12 years of teaching experience. Research is also his forte, and he has presented many research papers at various international and national conferences. He has many publications in various peer-reviewed, indexed national and international journals. Currently, interestingly, he is working as a principal investigator of a COVID vaccine trial at SRM. And he's also involved in the NEET counseling for undergraduate and postgraduate students, which makes him a very valuable asset for this webinar. Dr. Satyajit, may I ask you to take over?
Thank you, Ramya ma'am. At the outset, I would like to thank SRM Institute of Science and Technology, as well as the Hindu group, to give me this opportunity to come into this dais on the webinar of a NEET counseling process during this COVID-19 pandemic. As Ravi Kumar sir told already that we faced many challenges, the student as well as the institutes, as well as the government of India in conducting NEET exam for the students. So almost 15 lakhs students who appeared for NEET, they applied NEET exam application, but out of that around approximately 13 lakhs students could able to write NEET exam. And in that sense, Government of India also did a very good thing. The NTA, the National Testing Agency, uh, by conducting the exam at various centers throughout India. And students were able to write the NEET exam. And successfully, we have completed the round one of the All India Counselling as well as the deemed university counseling. So we are into the next step of the round two counseling. Thank you, sir, for giving the introduction how NEET came into the picture in selecting students for various courses like MBBS and dental courses. I'll focus on how the NEET counseling process happens. If you go to All India Counseling or NEET deemed university, how the students they can register and they can appear for the different counseling process. So can I share my slides, ma'am?
Please go ahead.
Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll be discussing about the counseling process of NEET exam, how the students starting from once they get the result, how they go for the online counseling, because most of the institute, central institute like AIMS, JIPMOR also comes now under a single umbrella of NEET counseling process. So All India Counseling, AIMS and JIPMA, as well as most of the deemed, almost all deemed university as well as central institute, they do the online counseling and they get admission into the MBBS program. So how to get the MBBS? What is the eligibility criteria for the student to appear in NEET exam? So the student must have to complete 12th education with physics, chemistry and biology. This is must with English, and they should score minimum of 50% mark and 40% in case of reserved category. And the student should have completed 17 years on and before the December 31st of the year of admission. So suppose this year the student should have completed 17 years by December 31st of 2020. And all the admission into MBBS is through online, that is through NEET exam. So what is NEET? National Eligibility and Entrance Test. And this is coming under the NTA, the National Testing Agency, which is established by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, which is an independent, autonomous, and self-sustained premier testing organization. They conduct this NEET exam. The total seats offered under NEET in this year is around 78,000, which includes 41,000, approximately 41,000 of government seats and 35,000 of private seats, and including EMS and JIPMER, it comes around 78,000, and 26,000, approximately 27,000 of dental seats. Now, through NEET, which seats admission will be made? As I told, AIMS New Delhi, JIPMER, and all AIMS-like institutions, like peripheral AIMS institution. Then 15% of the All India quota seats, and then state government quota seats where the state government are concerned, and then private management NRI quota seats in all the private medical and dental colleges, or any private or deemed to be university colleges. So all these seats are the MBBS admission occurs through NEET process. So how the online counseling of NEET happens? So this is done by the Medical Counseling Committee or the Director General of Health Service. So they conduct the 15% All India quota seats, 100% of the deemed university and central universities like Delhi, Delhi University, AMU, that is Aligarh Muslim University, BHU, including the institutional and domicile quota. Then 100% of the ESI colleges. Then for AFMC, only the registration part. And then Indraprastha University, that is BMMC, and SH, that is Safdarjung Hospital. Then Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Medical Science. Then Ramoloya and ESIC Dental Delhi. And then 100% of AIMS and 100% of JIPMER. So all these MBBS seats are conducted through NEET, and MCC has a bigger role in doing this counseling process. So what are the reservation policy for All India quota seats? The All India quota seats has the following reservation, like for scheduled caste, it is 15%, then ST 7.5%, then a person with disability 5% horizontal reservation, OBC 27%, and centralist and EWS 10% only in the central institutes and universities. So deemed universities counseling, the 100% seats are open category. So they come under two reservation. One is unreserved and another is NRI 15%. So in NRI 15% is applicable. Out of total seats, 15% of seats they go to NRI seats, and there is no reservation for OBC, SC, ST, PWD, and EWS candidates in deemed universities. So who is a NRI? NRI is a person who claims the documents claiming that the sponsor is a NRI. So the sponsor of a candidate can be defined NRI if he is having a passport or visa in the foreign countries. Then the relationship certificate of the candidate, it should be a first degree relative as defined by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Then affidavit from the sponsor that he or she will sponsor the entire course of the fee candidate duly notarized. So these 5 documents is very important: embassy certificate from the sponsor and NEET scorecard of the candidate. So an NRI candidate can be a sponsorer candidate, or he or she can be a NRI student himself or herself. Apart from that, OCI, PIO, NRI, they are eligible for management seats of deemed university as well as 15% of All India quota seats. Now, central university or institute like Delhi University, and they have 15% All India quota and 85% state quota, and faculty of dentistry like Jamia Millia Islamia in Delhi and other central institutes. Also, they have 15% All India quota and 85% state quota. These counselings are conducted by MCC. Now, when a student log in to the MCC website, when they go for the online counseling, they have to log into the MCC website. The MCC website, it is www.mcc.nic.in. So when they log in, they will get 3 options here. One is the PG medical counseling, UG medical counseling, and super specialty counseling. So they have to click the UG medical counseling for MBBS admission. So when they click UG medical counseling, there will be 4 different link will be there in the next page. All India Quota Counseling, AFMC Medical Counseling, deemed or Central University Counseling, and the 4th one is ESI Medical Counseling. So when they click, they can register separate for different type of counseling. So if they want to join a All India seat, they have to register in the All India Quota Counseling process. If they want to join a seat in deemed university or central university, they have to click this and go for registration on the deemed university. They can do 2 types of separate registration also. They can go with the registration with All India Quota. They can go with the registration with the deemed university also. So when they click the next page, there will be new registration. So new registration is open for 4 to 5 days. So the student can use the same data which they've used during the NEET application form, like the mobile number, the email ID, because all the correspondence of MCC will be done to the same number, the same email ID. So when doing a registration, they should be very careful that they should enter the data which they have entered in the NEET application form during the examination. So once they registered, they will get a user ID and password, and they can create their own password, new password, and they can log in here. So the user manual for candidate are also available. Seeing this, they can create their login and ID password. Now, this is the counseling scheme, counseling schedule, and participating institution. So before going for the registration, after registration, before going for choice filling or other thing, you have to clearly, the student has to see clearly the different participating institutions. The list of institutions are there where they can find what are the fee structure, how many years the fees should be paid, the annual fee structure, the hostel fees, all this, the nodal officer for any communication to be done, all these information are there. So you should be clearly go through these details before going for choice filling of the different colleges. So the counseling process starts with, there are 4 rounds of counseling happens in All India deemed university counseling and AIMS and JIPMER counseling. But only 2 rounds of counseling happens for All India quota seats. So round 1, this process is there. It's same for all the steps, all the rounds of counseling. So first is registration. The student gets time of 5 to 6 days to do registration. Registration as well as payment, as well as choice filling and locking. So this approximately takes 5 to 6 days. So once they do the registration, they have to pay, and then they have to go for choice filling. Now, when the choice filling is done, they will get options like 4 days, 4 to 5 days to exercise their choices. Suppose they get new information about a new college, they can change their choices also. And on the final day, they will get a deadline to log the choices. If they have to log the choices very carefully, because once they log the choices, it cannot be changed by the MCC also. So they have to be very careful while locking the choice, filling the choices and locking also. So once they log the choice, MCC takes 2 days for seat allotment process. It takes 2 days next to the choice locking, and after that, next day result comes out. So once the result comes out, they allow 7 to 10 days approximately for reporting to the respective institution. So this is the process of counseling happens in round 1, round 2, as well as mop-up round. So what happens in round 1? Now after the round 1 gets over, there is a process called round 2, and then similar registration, payment of choice, payment and choice filling, choice locking, process of seat allotment, result and reporting. These steps also there in round. Then mop-up round. Mop-up round is only for the central universities, deemed universities, ESI, AIMS and JIPMER. Not for All India quota seats. All India quota seats gets over only after the round 2. They do not have mop-up round or stay vacancy round. Mop-up round and stay vacancy round happens only for central universities, deemed universities, ESI, AIMS, and JIPMA. So this is the counseling schedule, which is the latest counseling schedule. If you can see, this round 1 is over for All India Counselling as well as for Dean University, and the second round of counselling is scheduled. The processing of seat allotment is already done. The result is due to publish by today, 28th of November, and reporting will start from 28th to 8th of December. This is already there in the website. So after this, the All India Counselling, All India Quota Seats Counselling will get over, and whatever non-reporting, non-joining vacant seats, they will return back to the states, and state will have the added seats along with the state quota seats. Then mop-up round will happen for the university, deemed university, ESI, AIMS, and JIPMA, followed by the stray vacancy round. Now, what happens in round 1? The student registers. After registration, exercising of choice, then choice locking, then process of seat allotment and publication of results, then reporting to the allotted institute in due time frame. So what happens? Suppose a student registered and he has got a seat in a medical college, but he doesn't want to go and report to that college. So there is a option like free exit. He need not to report to the college. He can exit freely, and he will be eligible for the second round automatically. He need not to register again. He will be eligible for second round. So what happens? Suppose a student report to the one college, but it is not the choice of his first choice. It is of some third choice or fourth choice. He has an option to upgrade his choice in the round 2. What he can tell the reporting official of the respective institute that I want to upgrade for round 2. So there is an option yes or no, and the student will be automatically, once we give option yes, it will be automatically eligible for round 2 upgradation. So what happens in round 2? Round 2 is there is a fresh registration also happens for round 2 for students who have not registered in round 1. Suppose after round 1 counseling, some students they feel that okay, they didn't have an option to go for a state counseling. They don't have a chance. They want to participate in deemed university counseling. So they can register freshly. So those who have not registered in round 1, they can register fresh. Or students who have registered and not reported in round 1 also, they are eligible for fresh registration. Then candidates who have registered for round 1 and did not get any seat allotted are not required to register again. They are automatically eligible. Suppose they have registered in round 1 and they didn't get any seat in round 1, so they are eligible for round 2. So with all these students in registration in round 2, again they go for exercising of choice, then choice locking will be there, then seat allotment process will be there, and then publication of results. So when the result is published, they have to report to the allotted institute in due time frame for round. Now what happens here? If a student has got a college of his choice, so he will go and join the seat in the allotted institute. Once he joins the seat in the allotted institution, in the All India quota as well as in deemed university, he cannot leave the seat and he will not be eligible for mop-up round or stray vacancy round of any other institutes. So once he joins, he cannot leave the seat. But if he wants to leave the seat, he can leave the seat with forfeiture of the registration fees. Suppose in deemed university, the registration fees is 2 lakhs and he has registered in round 1 or round 2 and he got a seat in round 2. He do not want to join that seat. He can leave that seat with the forfeiture of registration fee. But he will be eligible for mop-up round with fresh registration. So he has to go for fresh registration with again paying the registration fees, and he will be eligible for mop-up round. What happens at round 2, end of round 2, 15% of All India Counselling gets closed, and then the seats revert back, the non-joined and non-allotted seats, they revert back to the state quota or institutional quota of the central university or the central institute. So here the All India Counselling gets over. But the next third round of counselling happens for the deemed university as well as AIMS and JIPMA. What happens? Fresh registration is allowed here also. Who will register? Who is eligible to register in mop-up round? Students who have registered in round 1 and free exit. Like they didn't go and report to the college. They exited freely. They are eligible for mop-up round. Registered in round 2 and exited with forfeiture of fees. They have to do a fresh registration and they are eligible for mop-up round. Students who have not got any seats in round 1 and round 2, they registered in round 1, they didn't get any seat in round 1, they didn't get any seat in round 2, they are eligible for mop-up round. So all these 3 category students are eligible for mop-up round. Now again the same procedure. They have to exercise their choices and log the choice. Then seat allotment process and publication of results takes around 2 days, 2 to 3 days. And then they have to go and report to the allotted institute in due time frame for mop-up. So as I told, candidates who have already joined or taken admission in round 2 of All India Counselling, All India quota, deemed university quota, Central University, AIMS, JIPMA, they will not be eligible to participate in mop-up. Then comes the last round, that is called stray vacancy round, which is conducted by the deemed university or central universities, AIMS and JIPMA. So no fresh registration is allowed. So here registration is not allowed. Those students who have registered in round 1, round 2 or mop-up round and did not get any seats. So students who didn't get any seats, they registered but they didn't get any seats in round 1, round 2 or mop-up round, they are eligible for stray vacancy round. So stray vacancy eligible list is prepared and published by MCC. They'll give a list of students who are eligible for stray vacancy round, and students can apply to any of the colleges of their choice. Like if they want to go to Manipal University, they want to join Ramachandra University or SRM University or any AIMS or JIPMA, they have to look into the colleges of their choice and see if any vacancy is there, and they can go and report there in physically, and they have to submit their documents, and if any seats are there, because this is done by the respective universities. So they call for the applications and they prepare a merit list based on the NEET score, and then counseling is done by the respective universities in offline mode. So please remember, the students who are eligible or they want to go for stray vacancy route, they have to contact the respective colleges. And this is not done by MCC. This is a purely offline mode. So they have to look for the website of the respective colleges and see how many seats are vacant and what are the documents they are asking for application. So once they do that, they will prepare a merit list, and based on merit list, they will call for the counseling. So this happens in the end of the counseling process. Mostly for this year, it will happen around 29th, 30th, and 31st of December. So what are the certificates which are verified during the reporting process? So these are the important certificates which is mandatory as per the MCC. Provisional allotment letter, which is generated through online by DGHS. Then NEET admit card, which is issued by the National Testing Agency. And this admit card should be that which is used during the examination. Then because the signature of the students as well as the photo, the students are matched when they come for reporting. So admit card as well as the photo in the allotment letter, all these photos are checked thoroughly, verified thoroughly during the reporting process. Then third one is the NEET scorecard, which is issued by the NTA. Then for verification of birth date, birth certificate or 10th mark sheet, that has to be submitted. Then class 10th mark sheet separate, class 12th mark sheet or HSC mark sheet or any other equivalent examination. Then caste certificate, if applicable, if a student has got any sheets or applied under any category in OBC category during the NEET application, this also is verified in the deemed university. And if it is applicable, this certificate is to be submitted. And NRI documents, as I told, NRI, the list of documents, 5 documents which are applicable for NRI quota, those has to be brought, and these are verified during the reporting process. So apart from, suppose a student gets admission into the MBBS course, I'm just going off a bit of extra out of this. So it is not like this ends with MBBS. because MBBS has a 4.5 years course as well as 1 year internship, and they have an exit exam which is proposed by NMC. So there are so many options are there. Like as I told, like MBBS is a very like it's a very good professional field where there is 100% job placement, and no one in the country who has an MBBS degree and do not have a job. So it is the professional field where there is no retirement. A person who gets because of this, the competition has increased, and there is a like students they want to join MBBS because of this. And wherever you just will have a table and chair and a bed for seeing patient, you can start your uh, one clinic, and it may not always be about what we know. It's always about how much we care for the patient. So this is very important. Professionalism is very important. And after MBBS, there are different courses, like you can go with postgraduates, a student can go with research, they can go with hospital management and other jobs also. So can do research, hospital management, and then foreign studies like USMLE, EducationPlus, and can go with clinical practice like government hospital, private hospital, or they can go with their own clinic. And so you see, this is not the end of the world. If you don't, a student doesn't get an MBBS seat, it doesn't matter. But there are a lot of options apart from MBBS also. There are so many allied health courses are there which are really booming up, and the students who they do not like get a chance in first attempt or second attempt should not be disheartened. They have an option to go with the allied courses, and many universities like SRM also they have many courses of allied health sciences, and students are coming and joining, and they're definitely getting a good career out of these courses also. So this I'll end my talk with this quote, that if you by this great man APJ Abdul Kalam, the former president of India, you see, God helps only people who work hard, and that principle is very clear. So student has to do work hard, and then they should not fear of facing failure in the first attempt, because even the successful maths starts with zero only. So purity, patience, and perseverance are the three essential to success and love. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Satyajit, for that really elaborate presentation. I think there is no doubt in our audience about how exactly the process goes through. And I'm glad you ended with that slide, because it sort of perfectly segues into our next speaker's line. And we have with us Dr. Mohan Raj, Dr. S. Mohan Raj, who's a consultant psychiatrist who graduated from Stanley Medical College, Chennai, and went on to do his MD in psychiatry at the NIMHANS in Bangalore. He also qualified for his diplomate in National Board in Psychiatry from NIMHANS. So from 1992 to 95, he has been teaching postgraduate students at NIMHANS. He has presented many research papers at national and international conferences and received several awards, besides being the peer reviewer for international psychiatric journals. He's been delivering public education lectures, is keen on doing interactive sessions for students, for teachers, parents, and corporates. And you might have also seen him on several TV shows. Preventive psychiatry is his area of interest, and he has trained in psychodrama, a psychotherapy technique by the Moreno Institute in Germany. Since 1999, he has been in private practice in Adayar, Thiruvanmiyur in Chennai. Doctor, please take it away. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Ramya Kannan, for the kind words. I would also like to thank my co-panel, Lieutenant Colonel Ravi Kumar and Dr. Satyajit Mahapatra. They have very comprehensively given the way the NEET exam is considered. Like Lieutenant Colonel started from the history, and then Dr. Satyajit was talking about how it's actually done, the mechanics of how it's done. I'm going to talk about the psychological aspects, so not going to limit to the NEET counseling. The word counseling actually is being overused. Actually, counseling means advice, a knowledgeable kind of advice and guidance by somebody. And sometimes it's confused with counseling is confused with psychotherapy. What psychiatrists or psychologists offer, that is advice based on certain psychological principles, psychological school of thought is called psychotherapy, whereas people would confuse both of them. And counseling for NEET or the earlier version, All India examination, All India pre-medical, and for postgraduate was actually a proper counseling. Even engineering for Anna University was like counseling, where there will be HODs from different departments sitting there. The candidate goes in person, and you have a whole list, lot of screens telling what courses are available, which colleges are available, and the candidate can decide in that 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes that the candidate spends with the panel, which is usually about 4 or 5 HODs of, if it's medicine, from different medical college, if it's engineering, from different. It was actually counseling. If somebody is confused about something, about a college, if they have doubts about whether this college is recognized, whether it's not, and things like that, the panel was able to help them. It was actually counseling. Now, the online counseling is actually not counseling. This is like, as Dr. Satyajit had described, you apply and the candidate will put their preference in terms of colleges and courses, and a computer algorithm decides how you are allotted. That's why they go in for second round, mop up and all that. Now with the capability of network and real-time video conferencing, it's actually, I think, time to go back to the in-person through video conference. It's a little oxymoron there, where earlier you could get your allotment in real time. When it's your time, you're according to your rank, you know how many seats are available, which college are available, and you can choose. And you had to say yes and sometimes pay within, say, half an hour or so, because if you don't pay, that seat can go to somebody else. This is something I want to, I think with the kind of IT capabilities all over the country, they should consider this, and it's possible to have, even if they want to do real time, it's possible to have in multiple centers, like Anna University was doing for many years, that they can have multiple centers where students can go in person and they are called according to the rank. This is one thing I wanted to say. Now, one plus that the government is saying about NEET is they don't have to prepare for many exams. They have to just prepare for just one exam. Now, this is an advantage. You don't have to prepare for many exams, but also it is like putting all the eggs in one basket. And that can create a lot of anxiety about that one exam on a one particular day. Because earlier, when many universities were having their own exams, students had multiple chances. Like if I don't do well on a particular day, I can always take, like All India AFMC exam was different, AAPMT was different, deemed universities had their different days, JIPMER had a different day. So it was like they could take different chances, whereas now it's all one in one basket. And this causes a lot of anxiety. So to reduce anxiety, what I tell students and parents are, there is also data on how many students are taking it for the first time after finishing the 12th standard that year, and how many students are repeaters, that they might have finished their 12th last year, they couldn't make it, and they are studying only for the entrance for the NEET exam, and they are taking. So there's a substantial number of students who are taking NEET after 1 or 2 years after 12th. So that adds to the anxiety of a student who's taking 12th standard this year. So I tell parents and the students that if a student is passionate about doing medicine, I tell the parents to assure the child that if you don't get it this year, don't worry. you can always take it next year, because that just takes away the anxiety. Otherwise, the anxiety of will I get, will I not get, will I get, will I not get can impair performance in writing the exam, and also until you get the seat, or whether you are going to get a good seat. That's one more reason why a lot of them give up their seat, because by then their rank would be low and they will get some distant colleges. The real-time allotment can actually take care of that. Coming back to being passionate, when I said if the student is passionate, now you might ask, the numbers are going up, aren't all students passionate? I would say no, because we have had classmates, juniors, seniors, who were actually passionate about something else other than medicine, but their parents pushed them into medicine for various reasons. It could be a parent wanted to do medicine, couldn't do, they want their child to do. Or it could be the parent says, my brother's son or daughter is doing medicine, you must do it. Or the glamour of the field. Or I am a doctor, I have a hospital, who will look after it if you do something else? So for these reasons, they push children who are not interested in medicine, who are not passionate into it, taking away good seats. And also what happens is these children have no passion and they just come out as ordinary doctors. They might have been excellent something else in whatever field. Like one example I can think of is in our college, there was a boy who was interested in electricals and electronics. This was the pre-computer era. He was extremely interested in electricals, electronics, and he wanted to do electrical engineering. Father said nothing doing MBBS. Now he was so passionate that he would repair any electrical appliances which goes wrong in the hostel. Anything, bulb, that, this, a musical instrument. But what happens is there are many children like this interested in humanities, arts, photography, movie making, but they are pushed into medicine. And the light in their eyes fade away because MBBS is a fairly long course and they can't continue the other one as a hobby. So they would have been bubbling with passion in the first year when you talk about their interest. But within 3-4 years, that light just goes away and it's effectively their passion is killed. So I tell parents that it's very, very important that the child has to have aptitude. Now, one of the things that NEET or any exams for that matter, even before, was not testing his aptitude. It tests the knowledge. It's not testing aptitude. I'll just briefly show you few slides here. Now, what we need for somebody to take any career, not just medicine. Are you able to see the screen? Are you able to see? Anybody?
Yes, we are able.
Fine. Now, for anybody to do any career, not just medicine, the most important thing is interest in that field. That student should be not just interested, that student should be passionate about it. In this case, that child should be passionate about medicine and not for any other reason. So the second most important thing is, how good am I at this? Whatever chosen field, it could be medicine, it could be engineering, it could be arts, music, or anything. Like I might be passionate about something, but I may not be good at it. I might be good at something else. I'm equally passionate and I should start looking at. These are the two primary things. And there are then secondary criteria like, does the world need it? Yes, medicine, the world needs. Same goes for any kind of hundreds of different professions that are out there that the world needs it. And the fourth criteria related to the third would be, is the world willing to pay for it? And when they need it normally, sometimes the first three happens, fourth doesn't happen. Like I have senior friends who are working in rural areas, working in tribal areas as doctors. They are good at it, they are passionate about it. The world, the tribal area needs them, but nobody is able to pay them. But they are okay with it. They are collecting funds, donations, and they are running it. But for somebody to have a profession, then they need to have all the four. But most importantly, I keep telling parents, let it be the first two. So I just come out of it. And what happens is, with the kind of pressure that is put to select a course like medicine, there is also pressure before joining medicine, like before the NEET exam, like there are these extreme schools. I'm not going to name the area where now they have spread all over the country, where they have long working hours from morning 5 o'clock to night 12. They're not allowed to sleep, and Sundays are not free. And sleep research tells us that adolescents need at least 8 to 9 hours of sleep. For one is growth hormone is secreted towards the end of sleep, and also memory consolidation happens during sleep. But these extreme schools do not allow them to sleep for more than 4 or 5 hours. And also parents, many of them prefer that because those schools have been consistently showing results. But they show results that this many people got into NEET or MBBS exams, because earlier it was 12 standard marks, now it is entrance exam, but these schools were excelling in both. But they are not publishing data as to how many of the students from their school went, how many of them got it, how many of them had to give up, how many committed suicide, how many stopped studying because of the pressure those schools are putting them. So that's one casualty, that long hours, their sleep being taken away. Even many of these coaching institutes for NEET, IIT, JEE are also following this extreme, like it started in Andhra Pradesh, but now and Rajasthan, now it's all over the country that these institutes are there. And NEET is an exam which is loaded in favor of those who can join these coaching institutes and afford it for 4 years plus, because now it's no more 11th, 12th, they're starting from 9th. And some of those institutes are now starting from 7th standard. And soon you will have a time when children are pre-KG will also probably join for NEET coaching. We don't know now. But as of now, it's from 7th or 8th. So people who can afford that kind of training. So what happens is, even if you don't have an aptitude, the sheer repetition of doing these exams again and again, what happens is when the exam date, those who have gone through coaching institute are aware of at least 60% of the question or something which they've already worked. So they can just finish it off in no time, and they have to think only about those 40% of the questions. Whereas somebody who has not had these kind of coaching or exam taking again and again will have to think, even if they have the knowledge, they have to think about all the 100% of the question. That's a disadvantage. Now, what Tamil Nadu should have done is, they should have trained their government schools much earlier. They kept falsely promising that we will see to it NEET doesn't come, all the while knowing NEET is going to come. They should have, like many states, fought it on the code, but also on the ground level, improved the quality and the content, the curriculum of 11th, 12th. And also they should have given them coaching to take an exam of this nature. It's an extremely good exam of a high standard, but the only grievance which many people have is the students are not prepared on a uniform basis. They are prepared, like one has excellent coaching, another without any kind of coaching are exposed to these exams. So the standard of exam is the same, but the preparation is totally lopsided, and that's a major grievance many people have. So coming back to, these are some of the issues I wanted to talk about. And as I said, those who do not get, and if they are very passionate about medicine, as Dr. Satyajit also told towards the end, that the world doesn't come to an end because you have not got it, because you get a chance. Earlier with 12 standard marks, the world almost came to an end because it's the same 12 standard marks unless you write a improvement exam. Whereas here you can always take an entrance exam again. So that's something which is available, and hopefully there are no restrictions on the number of times they can take, because IIT JEE brought that restriction. I think NEET keeps it open so that children who are passionate know that even if I don't get here, I can always get in next year. So I'll stop here and I can take questions about the other psychological ramifications around conduct and the counseling process and admission process.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohan Raj. That was truly helpful. And the idea, I think, that you and Dr. Satyajit communicated is that there is so many options out there for students who want to do medical related subjects as well. So we can have about 20 minutes of questions. I would, some questions have already come in, but I would urge the audience uh, to uh, give your questions in the chat box so we can pick them up and ask the experts here. How is, one of the questions, it's an anonymous writer, how is admission in AFMC different from other colleges? Maybe Dr. Satyajit would like to talk about this.
Yeah. AFMC, it comes under NEET purview. Like the student uh, is to qualify through NEET only, but they ask for application. AFMC asks for application from the student who are NEET qualified. So once they get the application, they do have a screening procedure. So the officer in charge of AFMC, they do the screening procedure, and then they prepare a merit list, and then based on the merit list they call for an interview, and based on the interview the selection happens in AFMC. I think Sir Ravi Kumar sir also can add up.
Okay, continuing on to what Dr. Satyajit has told, AFMC seats are limited because of certain reasons. The person selected in AFMC have to serve compulsorily in the Army Medical Corps, Army, Navy, Air Force, Medical Services. And there is also a gender distribution. Out of 130 odd seats, 100 and odd plus is for men and 25 or so for women. And in the women also, only a few are for permanent commission and the rest are for short service commission. So this stipulation is there. And during their training period, everything is free. There is no fee. There is no charges. They are actually groomed to get into the armed forces, in addition to being a doctor. And there is a uniform. And the day they finish their internship, they are appointed as a commissioned officer in the armed forces. So when they do the screening process, they have to do an aptitude test where they find out if they are suitable for this sort of a life. When I mean permanent commission, it means it's for a minimum of 20 years service in the armed forces. And in addition to medical training, they undergo military training also. So considering all this, they have taken the yardstick of selection for MBBS as a NEET. They have to qualify in the NEET. After that, whoever is opting for AFMC, provided they come in that particular percentile of ranking, but AFMC is a highly ranked institution. And those people are interviewed separately by the Armed Forces, the Dean of the Medical College of Armed Forces Medical College in Pune, along with his team. Considering all these factors, then a new selection list is made, and then they are selected for the course in AFMC. That is how it differs from other institutions. I hope I have conveyed some.
Right. That was fairly elaborate. Thank you very much, Dr. Ravikumar and Dr. Satyajit. There is a question on the difference between NRI quota and NRI sponsored quota. I think you mentioned it, Dr. Satyajit. Would you like to take this?
Yeah. NRI student if he's a resident of foreign country having a valid passport, visa, parents are residing there, he or she is eligible to get admission under NRI. one more option is there, an Indian candidate who wants to join with a NRI sponsored seat, like a seat which can be sponsored by a NRI uh, who is a relative of the student. Suppose the student is residing in India, like Chennai. His uncle or aunt is in USA. He or she is an NRI who can agree to sponsor the candidate, and he or she can provide all the documents related to NRI. The student can get admission under NRI sponsored course. So there are two things. One is the student who is a NRI himself, he can join under NRI, or a student of Indian origin as a sponsor or as an NRI can get admission under NRI sponsor course.
Right, thank you. I
Thank
think this question is for Dr. Mohan Raj. How do I get rid of the pressure from NEET?
Yeah, thank you. See, whenever we talk to students, we tell them studying is not for exams. We study for the joy of learning, joy of knowing new things, and joy of how things work. But then students will point out to an exam like this and say, actually, marks matter because my allotment is going to be based on marks. And some schools also say that, some teachers say that, parents say that. Though we can keep on saying, no, don't study for marks. You study with passion, marks are automatically going to come. So one thing I would say is for NEET also it applies. If you study your physics, chemistry, biology and all with a lot of passion, automatically marks are going to take care of themselves without you actually looking at the marks. That's one. Second is, like these coaching classes offer, if schools can offer MCQs, not just giving MCQs and see where you stand, or also analyzing the answers. If the answers are, why is this correct answer, if also analyze, that leads to good learning. And most importantly, to take pressure, as I told earlier, the pressure or anxiety is only when you think, if I don't get it, everything is doomed. Whereas you say that if I don't get it, it's okay. I get to know how this exam operates. I can always do it next year. Like, prepare well, but tell yourself, if I don't get, it's okay. Not that if I don't get it, I need to compromise with whatever is my plan B or C. So that's one way that parents should also help by telling them. Parents are afraid to tell them earlier because if they say, if I tell much early, students will stop studying. I would say, put your effort very well, but then if it doesn't work out, doesn't matter. You can take it next year. That will take away a lot of anxiety.
Thank you. I think maybe I should run a follow-up question for this. What kind of support can parents give children who have failed NEET exam? The disappointment is overwhelming. I think this is a very valid question in these times, Doctor.
One is, as I said, parents should not. There are children who do badly because nobody wants to always get a less mark. There are children whom I know deliberately do IIT, JEE or NEET exam badly because they are not able to tell no to their parents. So I would say parents should not push children who do not have the aptitude, who do not want to do, number one. Second is those who are interested in taking it but somehow are not able to make it. Parents should avoid criticizing, comparing that, oh, so-and-so son got in, why couldn't you get in? That kind of statements have to be avoided. They have to say, fine, if your effort was very good, we will again do it next year, rather than abusing them, comparing them with others, criticizing constantly, thinking that criticizing or comparison is going to motivate them. So I think parents will have to first understand their aptitude and encourage them, expose them to much more. Like, for example, if they have aptitude and not just NEET, any subject, if the child has an aptitude, parents can talk to their colleagues and make the child meet somebody in that field. There are parents who do that with me. They bring their children to talk to me, talk to other doctors to know how MBBS is. Similarly, schools can organize this. But none of the schools are doing. I've suggested that they can get for 2 years, 11th and 12th, they can get at least some 50, 60 professionals from different fields to come and talk about plus and minus of their field, which will be a big enlightening thing for the students. Whereas schools say, no, we can't afford that kind of a time. We have to have extra classes for physics, chemistry, maths, biology. So career counseling is something parents can take a lead and schools can take a lead, apart from whatever I told about parents earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. There are some questions about SRM itself. Perhaps one of you would like to take it, Dr. Ravi Kumar or Dr. Satyajit. What is the cutoff in SRM for government quota? And yeah, maybe we'd like to start with that. And then there is also a question on the quota for sports. What is the link between quota for sports and the validity of a NEET score? Dr. Satyajit or Dr. Ravi Kumar, one of you.
Yeah, regarding the cutoff mark, comment cutoff mark, which is asked the question. Actually, in Deemed University SRM, we do not have government quota seats. All the seats are open category, unreserved, free of domicile. Any student in India can apply to any institute deemed university and can get admission to any MBBS seats and all. So we do not have a quota system or cutoff mark for those things. So according to the merit list is prepared according to the number of applicants. So a good rank, suppose it starts with 20,000 or 10,000 rank students has applied SRM Medical College, and it goes like as the computer alerts the seats. So it goes like from ranges from 20,000 to maybe 1 lakh rank, like that. So it based on it varies from year to year. Like is with our experience, like maybe around it will go around 60 to 70 percentile of mark total as compared to the total mark in SRM. What are the next question, ma'am? What are the other question?
There was one on sports quota, and what is the link between sports quota and the validity of a NEET score? I think they're trying to figure out how to apply. If they are applying under sports quota, how much
in all India seats there is no sports quota is there. Maybe in some states there will be sports quota, but in all India counseling or in deemed university sports quota is not.
Tamil Nadu has an option for sports candidates. Yes. Dr. Ravi Kumar, do you have anything to add to this?
In the deemed university, I don't think we have any quota like that. But they might have a special category. So far, it's not in print.
Right.
It could be depending on the states.
Right. There's one question on BDS. How much should students score in order to get BDS for someone from the BC community?
It is very specific, asking for a mark. That's what, as I told, it varies from years to years. Based on the number of applicants, the merit list is prepared from different institute also. Like as the choice filling occurs, like a student fills the choices, different choices. So an institute can have a like we'll have a higher order as compared to other institutes. So it differs from institute to institutes also, the cutoff marks.
Fair enough.
We cannot compare.
Fair enough. I think that's a very fair answer, and that's also the reality. There is a question on psychiatry and psychology. In fact, a couple of questions. Is psychology a good course to do? Is it good to study in TN? Also, can you tell us the difference between psychology and psychiatry?
Okay, thanks. The psychiatry is a medical course, medical branch where you do MBBS for 4.5 years, and then we do MD psychiatry for 3 years, and we examine, like we are trained in the medical management as well as psychological management. A psychiatrist can do both evaluation and treatment, both medically as well as psychotherapeutically. Now, psychology is a non-medical subject where after post-graduation, that is MSc Psychology, divides into various other branches into educational psychology, industrial psychology, and some of them also get into clinical psychology, where they are again dealing with people who have problems, that is patients. Now, clinical psychology, one of the route would be, there are many institutes offering MPhil in clinical psychology, but now after this new policy where MPhil is gone, I don't know how it's going to be renamed. But MPhil in NIMHANS, where I studied, the eligibility was MSc Psychology from a day college, not from correspondence. It has to be a regular college, BSc, MSc, then they can join MPhil. And the scope is tremendous. If somebody is passionate about the human mind and they want to do only the therapy aspects or testing aspects, psychology is very good. Many of them are very passionate and doing well independently, or they will be attached to a medical college in the Department of Psychiatry. Or if they go into educational, then they will, educational psychology, they'll be in a school. Industrial psychology, they will be part of HR teams. So it divides after post-graduation, it specializes. Whereas in psychiatry, after MBBS, MD psychiatry, then if you want, you can further specialize into child psychiatry. In India, child psychiatry has started. But in many countries, you have geriatric psychiatry, addiction psychiatry as separate ones. But general adult psychiatry is the mainstay all over the world. So that's the difference.
Thank you, Doctor. There is a question, a policy-related question here. Will the new education policy in some way affect NEET? The new education policy of the center, will it in some way affect NEET? Dr. Ravi Kumar, maybe?
If I can answer that. Actually, I think the new education policy will benefit the students to take this examination. It's more towards problem-solving skills and getting analytical rather than just a rote learning. So I think it should be impacting it better. The students will be able to take the NEET exam much more easier than they are doing now. It will prepare them well.
Thank you for that. There is a question on what are the scholarships available after joining medicine, like the PMS and FG scholarships for engineering education. Are there scholarships for MBBS students once they join the course?
I think it's depends on the universities, respective universities. They might be having some scholarship. As it is, at the beginning itself, there's nothing in the deemed universities. But depending on the performance of the individual student, there can be some scholarships. That is different in different universities.
Right. Thank you for that, Doctor. Maybe we'll have wind up with we are nearing one. I mean, it is one. So we'll have a couple of questions and then probably wind up the show. If a student is passionate about the medical field, but is weak in the intermediate subject, physics or chemistry, then that prevents him or her from writing NEET. What does one do in these circumstances?
I think
are you asking?
Subjects are important even in medicine. Although it's more of biology, but then still physics and chemistry are required because we are dealing with pharmaceuticals, products, we are dealing with equipment, and physics is very important. So we cannot neglect those subjects. It has to be there. The core subjects has to be there. So one has to prepare. Maybe the quantum of knowledge required for an engineering subject in terms of physics is much more than in a medical subject. But these days, the changes I have seen in my lifetime as a medical professional have been brought about by the integration of a lot of technology into the medical field. And that has made us a much better result-oriented specialty or result-oriented field. And these are the days when there are a lot of automation, a lot of technology. I think in future, in the IT, artificial intelligence, robotics, these are all going to come into the medical field. So if we have to keep pace with the scientific advancements and give a better outcome to patients who are having illnesses, I think these knowledge of physics, chemistry is important. So it cannot be neglected. That's my opinion.
I think Dr. Mohanraj wanted to say something.
No, sir has said what I wanted to say. Like chemistry comes in first year in the form of biochemistry that practically covers all the chemistry of all over the body. Then in second year, you have pharmacology about medicine. Again, it's chemistry. Physics comes in the form of all the equipments we use, right from optics, how your MRI works, how your X-ray works, how your scopies work, everything. I think some understanding of physics is definitely needed. In fact, many of us struggle because to understand research, you need math, you need probability, you need statistics. And there are some students who skip maths in 11th, 12th who have great difficulty understanding how research results are to be appreciated. You need a lot of maths there.
Maybe the last question, Dr. Satyajit, before the last question, if there is a particular site where people can access options for other allied subjects, people are asking, a lot of questions have come in about what are the allied subjects that one can take apart from MBBS. So if there is a link or something, maybe we can provide, on our chat box, or maybe you'd like to just say, and then we'll have one more question.
Yeah, the allied courses, again, it depends on the universities, how many courses they run and what are the courses they run. So all the details, if they can log into the university website, they can find what are the courses they run, and fee structure, the duration of the course, all details will be there in the different universities. So they can log into the respective university website and find out what exactly the courses are available.
Ramya, can I just add one more thing? I mean, in our university, we have almost 76 odd allied health sciences courses. And let me tell you that of late, these have become more popular, and the demand for these allied health sciences has become much more because there is a real shortage of professionals in this field. Audiology, speech, optometry, there are so many courses, psychology, and the newer ones are coming up. And those people, those children who want to be associated with patient care, they have a wonderful chance of performing. And it's really an eye-opener when you start seeing them perform, and they're motivated more than probably even the medical doctors. And one last word about this selection. It's the university website is the window of the university or the medical college to the world. And I think digitally we are moving forward in this country, and one should know how to approach it. And FAQs are there, chat, question, answers, everything is available there. Need not come personally to the university to check these things, unless he wants to experience himself and see what's happening. So I would definitely encourage people to look at the other courses also, other than medicine.
Yes, one more question. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think Dr. Satyajit has mentioned it in the general chat window. Please look at that link for further details about health and allied courses. There is one question.
That is from SRM University.
From SRM, yes. There is one question from Manisha. Is it possible to study MBBS and also go to IISc at the same time?
The MBBS curriculum is so packed, and I don't think it's physically or mentally possible to do that unless you are a superhuman being. And of course, the council also doesn't allow that. You have to be full-time committed to the MBBS course. We are trying to include some electives, non-medical, inside the university. But in a different university do that. We have not yet evolved to that stage. And it's a very taxing course, and to have another course along with it is going to be extremely difficult. And probably you'll become a patient of Dr. Mohanraj.
Yeah, Dr. Mohanraj.
But after, not during, as I agree with sir about doing simultaneously, but there are many people who after MBBS have gone on to do civil services. Like I don't want to name people, IAS, IPS, become police. They have gone there. There are movie directors who are MBBS people. There are writers, full-time writers who are MBBS. So after MBBS, they can branch out to anything. Research is one option. Teaching is an option. Administration, hopefully, like IAS, we are pushing for an Indian medical service. So those who are interested in administration could also probably do that. So there are a lot of options after they finish MBBS.
Yeah, I fully agree with the views. I fully agree with that.
Right. Thank you so much for this wonderful session, Dr. Ravi Kumar, Dr. Satyajit, and Dr. Mohanraj. I think the main message that we've managed to convey with this webinar is that the possibilities are simply endless. And also, I think the message that taking too much pressure on is not good as individuals, as students, as families, and as parents. So many thanks to all of you who attended as well. And I hope you have benefited from this as much as we have. Thank you so much, panelists, for your time. And thank you for yet another lovely session.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Overall, a very big thank you to Ramya, who conducted it so well and controlled all of us very well. And I think he got the message right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All the best to the participants.
I second, sir. Excellent moderation, ma'am. And thanks to my co-panelist, esteemed co-panelist.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Bye.
all.
See you later.
Thank you.
SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Engineering, Medical and Health Sciences, Management, Dental, Science and Humanities, Law, Agriculture Sciences, Hotel Management. Admissions open.